When it comes to front-wheel drive supremacy at the track, there really is only one choice. If you're looking for something that you can daily drive, have enough room to haul a set of track tires, or a full load of groceries, it's the Honda Civic Type R. However, there is a new contender that has emerged now with a new DCT transmission and a fancy overboost button. Is the Type R still king of the hot hatches?
Hi, it's Rob again. Welcome to the 2020 Type R Honda. This is the car that started it all, the Honda Civic. They were cheap, easy to get, easily modified. Honda embraced that Honda Nation sort of mentality. So many young drivers who want to get into the scene get a Honda Civic, get a used Civic. The parts are plentiful. They are because so many cars have been made that there is everything under the sun that you can get for one of these cars. Let's take it out for a run. Cool thing is, this is the first time I've actually driven a Type R. See what it's like. I remember when the Honda Civic first came out, someone brought out to an auto slalom. Everyone was like, oh, we feel really sorry for you. It's got like, a little tiny Honda Civic, virtually no power. But you could see the possibilities that the car had. The car looked like, said, you put more power in this thing and it's gonna go really well. So what are my impressions of this Civic? I cannot believe how easily it turns. It's got 305 horsepower. You come into the corner and you can really rotate it and then power out. You do not, to me, this does not feel like it's a front-wheel drive car. I'm used to the old front-wheel drive cars, which you need to basically have Popeye arms to throw it around the track. Because torque steer was a serious issue with a lot of the early high-powered front-wheel drive cars. So the thing that's sad about the 2022 Honda Civic is the styling is going to be much more tame, let's say. I have to say that the styling of this Civic, this Gen 10 Civic, it's pretty extreme. You know that there's something special when you see one of these cars. But it's like, Japanese animation sort of, is it going to transform? I'm looking around, where's the transformation button? I want to transform this thing. Because it is a beast, especially on the track. So you've probably seen lots of reviews online about the Type R. I've never driven a Type R before, just driving normal Hondas. So this is going to be my take on this car. So one thing about having a car, a model for so long, is how you can dial in your suspension, dial in the performance of the car. And Honda has done that expertly. I cannot believe how the turn-in of this. Jab the brakes, turn the wheel, and it just rotates so nicely. Coming around here. Yeah, see, rear end just slides nicely. Yeah, throttle response is right there. Yeah, coming around, grips. Oh, just so it leans in, sets, and holds. The interesting with this car is that OEM, it's got 30 series tires. That's barely a bicycle tire. You feel everything in the road. So that's great when you're doing stuff like whipping around the track. I'm not sure how practical that is when you're on some normal roads. So one of the first things I would do is my road tires, high performance road tires, would probably have a little bit more rubber to it. Not to mention, when you get smaller rims, saving some weight. It's all about the unsprung weight, my friends. All about the unsprung weight. So the Type R is the holy grail of the tuner scene. This is the first Type R that's come to North America legally. Hasn't been like imported or something like that. So everyone wants a hold of these cars. It's going to be very interesting a few years down the road when they start coming up used and what starts happening to it. When it comes cheaper to get into the hands of some of those younger super tuners. So, is there anything out there that can take the place, take the throne of the king of the super tuner, hot hatch, brain? You know, Honda's had many years on the top. I'm not entirely sure what out there can win that. Oh, just kind of the sound. I really don't see much out there. Does David? What does David think? Let's see.
So here we are, and it's something a little bit different. You see, everyone talks about all the hot hatches, and you know what we didn't need is another competitor in the segment. But it seems to be arguably that last little bit of affordable fun. It always has been affordable fun. This is something new. I'm here in the Veloster N. And who would have thought the Hyundai from the 90s would end up here on track? So if this is your goal, to have the driver-oriented car and make sales, you need to find the right person to do so. The right person to do so used to work for none other than the BMW M division. The technical director during the 2003 era, which many would argue was the golden era for the driver feel and engagement of BMWs, was pulled over kindly to the Hyundai group of cars, and Kia included as well. And so they decided to make the fun car in their lineup. So where do you start? Well, the hatchback. Let's start with a car and make a whole new division called N-Line. What does N-Line mean? Well, no one knows. That's what the N stands for. But it's all about performance. The branding is very obvious. We want to make a car that looks good, goes fast, and is oriented for the driver's car. But when you're competing against the Civics, the Golf Rs, and all the rest of it, how do you stand out with that type of a halo car? Well, do what everyone else is losing on. Go ahead and focus on the driver feel. Because when you're chasing numbers, it's all going to be power and acceleration, and well, cost goes up. And I'm going to start there. It's really hard to argue everything today when the Civic Type R is $6,000 to $7,000 more than the Veloster N that I'm in. $6,000 to $7,000 sounds like quite a bit of insurance to me. Sounds like a lot of track tires to me and track time. Sounds like a track school. It sounds like there's a big difference here that many people aren't considering if they're going to be going to the track, and that's what's key. Before we get into any button pressing, the motor itself is a 2-liter turbocharged for 275 horsepower. Now, there are a performance package list and all that stuff that adds certain things, and the key thing to this car and why it's now more competitive with the Civic Type R is the DCT, mainly because that comes with a trick diff. You can argue that a manual is for the driver all day long, but if you're using this car for more than just the track, you're going to want to sometimes shift into automatic. Traffic is not great, doesn't matter how you clutch it or not. For daily driving, an automatic or a DCT is probably where you want to go. You want to be able to have the fun of shifting when you want, making it interesting when you hit a curve in the road or you want to accelerate onto the highway. But when you're chasing lap times, you also want a DCT. Nothing shifts faster than the electronics these days. You can argue as much as you want. It's just not possible. You've got to get the speed of shift done by servos and motors and click, click, click. What about the diff? Because initial impressions of this car, fantastic. Both the Civic Type R and this car, and it's optional on the Golf R, have trick diff systems, e-diffs and whatnot, and on the front of the car, which makes it interesting. But it really does allow the car to turn in better than you'd expect. Understeer is not as obvious. You really get the option to tuck the car in when you're waiting up the front, trail braking, just diving in. You can feel the car's ready to rotate, and that's what you want. You want that playful attitude. It doesn't feel out of shape by any means. I really enjoy it. Again, another car that feels comfortable to work up to the limit. I don't know how it will do beyond. We'll leave that to Colin. Back to that base price. It's $2,800 more than the previous year, but you're getting a lot more. That aforementioned diff, performance exhaust, bigger brakes, all the goodies that you want. Against all the other goodies, we have that overboost feature, the N grin shift. And I mean, it's an overboost. It gives you that little bit of extra power and torque that just really gets you going there. Let's try it out, huh? Whoa! Yeah, that was unexpected. Whew! Yeah, it does something. It actually provides a lot more boost down low than I would have thought. Surprising. And that's the thing about this car. No one expects a Hyundai to be exciting like this. And it's fun. All sorts of modes. The seats are beautiful. They hug me wonderfully. It sounds good. It goes good. It's a hatchback, so it's got tons of space. Yes, that's important at the track, because you've got to take a lot of stuff that you can just leave at the trackside when you go. It is a wonderful car, and it's hard to argue with the price difference. I'm really interested to see which car is going to be faster. This one feels great, and I'd be happy with this car if I bought it. It's a lot of fun, and the fact that you can take it to the track and just continue to enjoy it, but then drive home no problem, no brainer. The interior is a nice place to be. It's basic, a lot of hard plastic, but I've got light up shift gauges or an RPM dial there. I've got a nice screen showing oil temperature, torque, and turbo boost. The seats, they grip me, and the belts are fun. They're blue. It really is a nice place to be. You can tell where they saved money, but you know that, or at least you should know that going in. Otherwise, though, it feels great. There is one other very important fact about this car that leaves the other hot hatches in the dust. A warranty. No, not your regular warranty. I'm talking about a track warranty. Just like Porsche, just like certain Chevys, you can actually take this car to the track. Hyundai says it's fine. I would read to be sure for exclusions and stuff like that, but the idea is they've built this car to go to the track and work on the street. And as long as the conditions are within the limits defined by that warranty, you're covered. You don't have to worry about that. Your insurance company may be a different story, so you're going to want to figure that one out. But in all honesty, there is something just so wonderful about a manufacturer understanding why they're chasing this market. I'm really excited to see what Colin's going to do with this car performance-wise. I know I'm not going to win the drag race. Boost function or not, the Civic Type R has more power, and I do believe that it's going to put the power down better. But it's going to be a lot closer on the track, and it's surely going to be a lot closer in the autocross. It's a great car, and I'm actually really excited to see what it will do performance-wise.
All right, gentlemen, so you had a chance to drive these two fabulous front-wheel drive hot hatches. What did you guys think about it?
Well, you know, one thing I have to say that for all my years of driving front-wheel drive cars, these did not feel like front-wheel drive cars.
Not at all.
It used to be that you were wrestling the front end around and the rear end was just along for the ride. But these cars, the rear end truly participates in the overall experience.
Mm-hmm. It totally does.
They seem really willing. And I know they both have trick diffs and really good suspension geometry, and that just comes along with time. They're constantly improving. I wouldn't mind looking under a car and seeing which one has worse wear. It's probably still those fronts. But yeah, no, the rear of the car really does seem to be quite playful on both and comes around quite easy.
Mm-hmm. So what did you guys think? I mean, performance-wise, obviously, you know, they have a lot of interesting things to them, as you guys mentioned. But let's face it, the whole advantage of having like a hot hatch, of course, is the performance mixed in with the practicality of a daily driver, right? Like, for example, when we review something like the AMG GTR, it's not the ideal car for a daily driver. It's made more for performance. These, of course, have to walk that fine line of both. So what did you guys think about that?
Well, for this one, I know I was looking at the back and I'm driving around doing my review thinking that I could very much take this car to work. I can, on the Saturday, go to the hardware store, get my lumber, 8 feet lengths of lumber and paint and such, and then do some projects. And then Sunday, throw my track tires in the car, go to the track, have fun. The car will still work at the end of it. And then Monday morning, I'm back at work telling my friends what I did for the weekend.
True. And the good thing is too is that you can beat everybody else to the hardware store for your curbside pickup because you have a fast car.
This is true. Very quick, and everyone will go ooh and ah as I go by them.
What do you think, David? Is that a good daily?
It's quirky. No doubt that it's a great daily. You can definitely see the difference in where the money goes, and that's in the interiors. The Civic does have a nicer interior, but there's one other quirky feature. The fact that this has 5 doors, and this has 4, but you have to be at this side of the car to see it. So, I mean, obviously it's walking that line of it's a daily driver, it's a lot of fun, it's a hatchback with space, but it also excels here at the track, which I don't think anyone would have thought for a Hyundai a couple of years ago.
Absolutely, yeah.
Definitely not for Hyundai.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, they've come a long way. So speaking of excelling at the track, now it's time to put it through its paces. We got to see what these cars will do through all the tests. First thing we have to do is a drag race. And of course, this is going to be interesting because a couple of reasons. First off, David has to kind of, pull his weight in this race.
I have faith this time.
But now here's the interesting thing, let's face it. So I know when we've done stuff like with the Camaro and the AMG, for example, the Camaro had issues getting off the line, as Camaros often do, with that kind of supercharged power. But it's not that these cars are super powerful, it's they are front wheel drive.
Yes.
Yeah, still traction.
Yeah, so both of you guys are going to have your work cut out for you today. So, you know what, I think we're on a level playing field now. He doesn't have the cheater AMG. So I think, David, I think my money's on you. I think you can do this today, buddy.
I have faith in myself.
Cool.
Good. I'm glad you do.
One of us should, right?
Yeah, somebody.
Somebody should.
Well, with all this false confidence spewing from your mouths, gentlemen, let's go hit the strip and find out.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.